Chapter 641 None. It's not someone from the ancient race, but we would do to be careful still. Got it, senior sister. The masses nodded their heads as they focused all of their attentions warily on this person who was arriving. In the ancient saint world, the ancient race wasn't the only danger around. Even if it were someone from the thousands of races, there was a danger associated with them as well. Otherwise, there wouldn't be syndicates such as the Evil Alliance and such. Compared to the ancient race, these syndicates weren't any better off. They were one crueler than the other, snatching and killing anyone on sight. Lin Fan looked at the group of people who were standing before the chaotic current void right now. A single glance was enough for him to know that their cultivation states weren't all that high. Hence, he didn't put it to heart. Furthermore, Lin Fan could tell that there weren't any evil auras surrounding these people. Naturally, he didn't take them as bad people then. When Lin Fan descended, he looked over at them. On the other hand, they were thoroughly fixated on checking him out. They couldn't tell. They realized that they just couldn't see through the cultivation state of this fella before them. In fact, even his aura was hidden entirely from detection. It was as though he was just any other commoner. You guys don't have to be so worried. I'm not a bad person. Looking at how these people were keeping guard against him, Lin Fan was pretty speechless. Yours truly looked so suave and dashing. How could he possibly look like a bad person at all? No bad person will ever claim themselves to be one. Yi Dao hid behind his senior sister and blurted this sentence out. Senior sister. Why did you stamp on my feet? The moment he spouted these words, his senior sister stomped down on his feet. Towards this retard of a junior brother, she was totally helpless. This is my junior brother here. He's inept at speaking. Please don't blame him, Qian Shui replied with an apologetic tone. It's fine. Lin Fan waved his hand dismissively, not bothered in the least bit. He then turned his gaze towards this chaotic current void before him. Looking at how the other party was staring straight at the chaotic current void, Qian Shui spoke up with a kind reminder, this is the chaotic current void. Within it lies an extremely strong destructive force. If you don't have any item to protect yourself with, it's really hard to get through it. Yup, indeed. I can sense the metal qi within this chaotic current void. If one's cultivation state is too weak, they wouldn't have the power to make it through at all. The moment they enter, they would most likely be shredded. Lin Fan could tell through the entire chaotic current void with a single look. However, to Lin Fan, this chaotic current void was something that was negligible. It wasn't anything that was difficult to deal with. When he looked at it, the only reason for doing so was to check out where the connate metal element was located or hidden. This sort of detection method, which could ignore this chaotic current void entirely as well, was pretty earth-shattering and shocking. However, Qian Shui and the others naturally could not tell what he was doing. They garnered that he must just be contemplating about how to get through this chaotic current void, and that was all. We're disciples of the Vastness sect. This is my big senior brother, Wu Tianhai. These are my junior brothers and sisters. May I know of your name, sir? Qian Shui introduced the masses and asked Lin Fan. Lin Fan chuckled. Brother Lin, this time around for our expedition, we have brought with us multiple objects that could help us tide through this chaotic current voids. If you need them, we can give some of them to you. Qian Shui continued. My thanks for your kind gesture. But, I won't need them. Even though this chaotic current void may bring with it a destructive amount of power, it isn't much of an issue for me. Lin Fan waved his hands while smiling. Even though these guys were wary of him, he'd got to admit that they were pretty friendly. There were many sects in the ancient saint world. Many of the beings of the thousands of races would open up sects so that they could protect their fellow comrades. Wu Tianhai and Qian Shui exchanged a look with one another. They did not know why the other party would harbor such confidence. However, they did not let out any weird looks on their faces. So, what are you guys here to look for? I can try to keep it for you guys later on. This time around, Lin Fan was prepared to swipe the entire place clean. However, these guys seemed nice. Therefore, Lin Fan did not mind leaving some items for them. After all, they were all comrades of the thousands of races. He ought to look after them a little. The disciples of the Vastness sect did not know what this guy meant by his words. However, they still replied, our sect has a sword skill that requires the metal chi. Hence, we're here to seek it out. Oh. Even though the metal chi is pretty decent, it's still pretty low tier. Why haven't you guys considered seeking out the connate element of metal? Lin Fan chuckled. To Lin Fan's standards, while the metal chi could be considered okay, it was really far too weak compared to the connate metal element. Brother Lin, the connate metal element has developed a consciousness of its own and has a strong cultivation state. It's not something we can take as and when we like to. Furthermore, the connate metal element lies within that entire sea of metal, with countless guardians surrounding it. I'm afraid we might be killed by those guardians before we can even get to approach the sea of metal. Wu Tianhai did not see this as something disgracing to admit. After all, the connate metal element was something really strong to begin with. It was well known that amongst the 5 elements, the connate metal element wielded the most destructive powers. Even if it were a powerful being of divine celestial level 5 or 6, they might not have the confidence to say that they could be able to obtain the connate metal element, let alone people like them. Since we're all beings of the thousands of races, how about you guys just stand here and wait for me a little bit? I'll go and grab some for you guys. No matter what, the metal chi is pretty substandard, to be honest. If you have a skill that requires you to make use of the metal chi, you've definitely got to go at it with the one with the strongest destructive powers. You can't make up quality with quantity. Lin Fan smiled as he walked forth. The disciples of the Vastness sect did not know what this man was trying to do. Shui Qian felt that this man did not know his place at all and had an element of bullsh*t-ting to him instead. Wu Tianhai just frowned with his brows. He did not know what sort of a background this man would have to say words as such. As for the other disciples, they snorted a little. They felt that Lin Fan was just lying through his nose entirely. It's all right, I don't think you've got to do that. Wu Tianhai replied out of courtesy. However, he knew that he would never believe Lin Fan's words no matter what. However, at this moment, Yi Dao was the one who looked at Lin Fan and had his brows creasing. It was as though he was remembering something. With that, his brows smoothened out as he stood forth. Big brother Lin. My big senior brother wants it. Yi Dao declared. That was typical Yi Dao, bringing on big brother into his words. This was a man who was familiar with the art of sucking up and making connections. Junior brother Yi, Wu Tianhai, was a little displeased. However, just as he was going to continue, he was held back by Yi Dao. So, I'll have to bother you to bring for us some connate metal element. All right, big brother Lin, Yi Dao continued. Lin Fan looked at Yi Dao keenly, then grinned. Sure, no problem. Right at this moment, something that shocked the bejabbers out of everyone present happened. Lin Fan opened his mouth wide. Immediately, a gigantic suction force came forth from his mouth, causing the entire chaotic current void to be devoured by him entirely. With that, the vast and boundless chaotic current void disappeared without a trace from the face of the world. As for Lin Fan, he burped before disappearing in a flash from where he stood in the blink of an eye. How is that possible? Everyone from the Vastness sect was absolutely flabbergasted. They could not believe that someone had just swallowed the entire chaotic current void in a single mouthful. This, Wu Tianhai was even more stumped than anyone else. To him, this was way out of his wildest imagination. This was the epitome of horror. Big senior brother, senior sister. What sort of a poor taste do you guys have? How could you guys not have recognized a god standing before us? This is simply way too regrettable. If not for the fact that I was smart, you guys would have trampled onto the benevolence of a god, Yi Dao replied exasperatedly. This is especially so for our big senior brother. The god himself had spoken up that he was going to bring some connate metal element for you. To think that you would turn down his offer. Really, now. If I weren't this smart, we would have been left with nothing. Junior brother Yi, you know who he is? Qian Shui turned her head around and asked blankly. Of course. Don't you guys? Yi Dao looked at his senior sister suspiciously. No, I don't. Who is he? Qian Shui was bewildered right now in her heart. This junior brother of hers had always been inside the Vastness sect. How could he have any friends outside? Yi Dao tossed his robes aside and grinned with a slight smile. All right. All of you have got to listen up now. And don't start yelling out, all right? Hurry up and tell us. Chapter 642 Chapter 642, A Road of Oppression Translator, Lam_editor, Hitesh_Wu Tianhai, Jian Shui, and the others were filled with curiosity right now. They wondered just who this person was. Furthermore, by the looks of Yi Dao's face, this guy seemed like a serious big shot. All right, all of you better listen up well. Don't get so startled that you can't even speak later on. Yi Dao felt that he had to build up the mood right now. Therefore, he fake coughed a little. Hurry up. Stop mystifying this deliberately. Junior brother, if you're not going to say it, then don't blame your senior sister here for resorting to extreme measures to have you spouted out later on. Shui Qian's face turned up. It was as though something bad was going to happen to Yi Dao if he continued hiding stuff. All right, I'll say. Gosh. Why do you guys have to be so bad? Yi Dao was kind of exasperated right now. It was all because he was way too weak personally that he was being bullied right now. Tisk. This man. At the very beginning, I did not recognize who he was either. However, I felt that he was someone really familiar. The more I looked and recalled, wasn't this man that mother *seeking human king, Lin Fan? Yi Dao explained. The mother *seeking human king, Lin Fan? Everyone had yet to react to this news and was searching the back of their minds for this name. Now that Yi Dao had made it so clear, if anyone still didn't get it, they would probably have to be brain-dead. Shui Qian's face changed abruptly into one of disbelief. What? He's the mother *seeking human king, Lin Fan? That peerlessly strong powerful being? Wu Tianhai's face was pale right now. He looked at Yi Dao in some regret. I rejected his kind offer earlier on. Yes, looking at how frighteningly pale the face of his big senior brother was right now, Yi Dao chuckled in his heart. However, he still nodded his head with a serious look on his face. Big senior brother, back when I heard you refusing the goodwill gesture of this supreme god, I nearly pissed my pants. However, your junior brother here has managed to salvage the situation for you. Don't worry about it, you don't have to be nervous anymore, Yi Dao replied casually. Even though his strength wasn't comparable to theirs, his knowledge of the world was far greater than them. Catching sight of the expression on the face of her big senior brother, Jian Shui could not help but console him as well. Big senior brother, I'm sure the mother *seeking human king would not take this to heart. Don't you think so, junior brother Yi? Yes, senior sister is right. How could the mother *seeking human king possibly mind things like this? Yi Dao nodded his head in agreement. Then, when the mother *seeking human king returns later on, what should we do? Wu Tianhai was starting to calm down right now. However, he was still slightly nervous about everything that happened. None to the beings of the thousands of races, this was an event that was thoroughly invigorating and inspiring. At this moment, everyone turned their gazes towards their junior brother Yi. It was as though junior brother Yi was their support right now. Looking at the gazes that landed on him from his senior brothers and sisters, Yi Dao could not help but puff up his chest slightly. None highs. The mother *seeking human king could be considered as the new age idol of the entire ancient saint world. To think that we would have such luck to meet with him even once today. If we were to let the world know of this in the future, it would be a prideful event for us indeed. At this moment, Yi Dao was really emotional as well. This was the first time he had realized how witty he was. Everyone in the surroundings nodded their heads silently as well. They felt that the words of their junior brother Yi made sense. Therefore, this would be how they would approach the situation later on. Within the secret grounds, Lin Fan's path forward was one filled with oppression. This secret ground that was filled with the connate metal element was something that the ancient race couldn't control at all. After all, there was a natural defense mechanism of the chaotic current void at the entrance. That thing did not show any form of favoritism to anyone, shredding anyone who couldn't withstand its might into pieces if they had dared to enter. Living being, this isn't a place you should be at. Hurry up and leave. Suddenly, a furious voice rang from a bunch of metal spirits within that sea of metal. Each one of them shone with a brilliant golden glow and an edged aura, slicing through everything. It was as though even the void could be cut cleanly by them. The metal spirits here possessed an extraordinary strength. However, just like every other living being, they had a leader as well. At the back of a bunch of metal spirits, an extremely strong metal spirit draped in metal armor stood there, wielding a longsword with an extremely sharp aura, ready to slice through everything. What a strong living being. Amongst the 5 elements, the living beings that were born from the connate metal element are probably the strongest ones. They're practically seeking battles. The moment Lin Fan approached the sea of metal, he could sense a sharp aura edging out towards him. If it were anyone with a lower cultivation state, they might have already been turned into a beehive by now. However, Lin Fan could practically just ignore these sharp aura negligibly. They didn't do any damage to him at all. Lin Fan strode out and grabbed with his palm. With a loud explosion, the void broke over as he grabbed at these metal spirits. The metal spirits growled in anger. However, under Lin Fan's grab, they couldn't resist at all and were converted into pure connate metal element. Based on Lin Fan's strength right now, these spirits were akin to mere ants. There wasn't even a single way they could fight back at all. In the ancient saint world, there weren't many people who required the connate 5 elements for their cultivation. Even if some skills were to require them, they would only require a little of it. However, to Lin Fan, the breakthrough of the demon city was imperative. Therefore, the amount of connate 5 elements he required was as vast as the seas. If he didn't take in all of them, it wouldn't be enough to satiate him. And, just as Lin Fan had cleared this bunch of metal spirits, an extremely shrill sound rang out from behind him. The sound transformed into a relentless sharp sword that bolted out at Lin Fan. Damned living being! How dare you massacre my people! In the depths of this sea of metal, there was a palace that stood upright. From there, a 10,000 feet tall golden-colored giant howled out. Divine Celestial Level 5, Essence Spirit State. For any of the connate 5 elements, this was considered to be an extremely strong living being. I'm just borrowing you guys for a need of mine. Lin Fan did not hesitate as he sent out a palm strike immediately, causing the entire place to tremble under it. The demon city revolved with the big ancient demon's descent into the world. Opening his gigantic mouth, a boundless amount of energy rippled out into the entire place. His single breath could swallow mountains and rivers as that endless amount of energy surged out. With that, the entire secret grounds began to vibrate intensely. All of you shall come and turn into a part of your majesty here. The big ancient demon's eyes shone with a bright glint as he started swallowing continuously. Based on Lin Fan's current cultivation state, killing these connate elemental spirits was as easy as killing an ant, nothing challenging at all. Connate metal element shall live and breathe relentlessly. The Tao of endless fighting of metal, slay. At this moment, the golden giant couldn't take it any longer as he rushed over with his sword raised. That gigantic body surged through the entire secret ground with a bright shimmering blade that was relentless. However, by the time it came to the face of the big ancient demon, he was grabbed in his hands and tossed straight into its mouth. Crack. The sound of metal being crunched sounded out as the golden giant was converted into a dense, long metal river that was eventually fused into the demon city. This place no longer needs to exist. Lin Fan opened his palm. His fingers began to extend out while the place started shrinking down. Eventually, it turned into a spot of light that was captured into Lin Fan's palms. This was the way of crushing everything with absolute strength. The masses outside did not know what was going on at all. However, they realized in shock that the entire secret grounds seemed to have disappeared before their very faces. At this moment, they caught sight of a lone figure walking out slowly. One after another, they let out a look of horror. That incredibly strong secret ground that possessed the connate element of metal. It was gone, just like that. This. Chapter 643 Chapter 643, This saves me the effort. Translator, Lam_editor, Hitesh_Lin Fan had not expected to subdue the connate metal element so quickly. Amongst it, the metal spirits that were spawned from the connate element of metal were akin to ants, being taken down by him with the back of his hand without much difficulty. If this were in the past, he might have had to put in quite the bit of effort. Seemed like this was truly the advantage he had after becoming stronger. Right now within his demon city, he had already gathered 4 out of 5 of the connate 5 elements. He was down to the last one now. As long as he could find the connate element of wood and have all 5 elements functioning as one, that would be the time when the demon city would be ready to break through. Outside, the disciples of the Vastness sect were still awaiting his return. Lin Fan chuckled in his heart. How earth-shattering was that move of his earlier on? Goodness, the disciples would be sure to ask him who he was later on. By then, if he were to say out his name, that would definitely have them shocked entirely. The thought of that happening had Lin Fan filled with anticipation. Seemed like after one was strong, acting tough was something so damned pleasurable, so damned exciting. The moment the disciples of the Vastness sect caught sight of that figure appearing from the void, they exchanged glances with one another. They nodded, understanding what they should do later on. Lin Fan placed his hands behind his back with an indifferent expression on his face, as though he had done something really casual. With his many years of experience, Lin Fan was long used to how the situation would play out at this point in time. There wasn't much to think about. He knew what he should do clearly. Lin Fan instantly arrived before the masses with a wry smile on his face, waiting for the disciples of the Vastness sect to speak up. The hearts of these disciples of the Vastness sect were filled with emotions right now. This man before them was the very mother-seeking human king. To think that such a dangerous place would have been destroyed with ease by the mother-seeking human king just like that. If they were to tell this out to the world, who would even believe them at all? Cough, cough. After waiting for a long time, Lin Fan was starting to realize that no one was speaking up at all. He was pretty exasperated. The way you guys are looking at me, could it be that you guys know who I am? He started by guiding the questions towards him. However, to his dismay, Lin Fan realized that these guys were shaking their heads. Nopes, we don't. These disciples of the Vastness sect were firmly believing in the words of their junior brother Yi. Junior brother Yi was right. The mother-seeking human king is a low-profiled god. If it were anybody else, they would definitely have thrown their names forward at the first chance. Do you really not know who I am? Lin Fan asked once more, refusing to believe that this was the case. This didn't make any sense. How could they not know of who he was at all? Nopes. The disciples of the Vastness sect shook their heads once more, indicating their ignorance. They had already agreed from the start that they would feign ignorance all the way. Lin Fan eventually sighed helplessly. He then lifted up his palm gently where a strain of the connate metal element floated. This is for you guys. The moment the connate metal element made its appearance, the disciples of the Vastness sect were entranced by it immediately. To them, the connate metal element was simply way too powerful. Just its aura alone seemed as though it was ready to slice off their skins. Even though this was only a single strain of it, the power that it possessed should not be underestimated at all. For them, this single strain was enough to help them raise their skills to a full cultivation state. After all, this was the connate metal element, something that was above the metal chi. This was the purest form of its energy. Big brother Lin, you're truly way too strong. Yi Dao commented in awe. Lin Fan smiled casually. However, he was still a little hurt in his heart. To think that no one here would know how famous he was. This was a blow of sorts to Lin Fan. I'm okay. Lin Fan wasn't too interested now as he replied with a smile. At this moment, Wu Tianhai was looking at Lin Fan with much respect. However, the words of his junior brother Yi struck into his mind as he calmed down that thumping heart of his, before cusping his fists into a thanks to Lin Fan. After all, if not for the other party, he would never have gotten the connate metal element. On the other hand, Qian Shui was having some plans of her own. If she could invite the other party back to their sect, their grandmaster would definitely be most exhilarated over it. However, just as Qian Shui was about to speak up, something strange happened. The void above them that was as calm as still waters suddenly began to ripple out. The Battle Emperor sect is being attacked by the ancient race army right now. All major sects, please render your assistance. This voice that was transmitted from the void was both infuriated and anxious. It was as though they were faced with some plight that they could not escape from. Another message followed immediately after. This time around, the attack was brought forth by the sovereign King Wei, Qi, and Zheng. This is a combined attack with an ancient race army of 10 million troops by the three sovereign kings against the Battle Emperor sect. If anyone is willing to lend their help, the Battle Emperor sect will definitely be most grateful. What's going on? The moment Lin Fan heard this voice, he was puzzled. This is a skill that allows one to transmit their voices by breaking through the worlds. Amongst the thousands of races, when sects are about to be faced with annihilation by the ancient race, they would seek out help from others. Jian Shui replied calmly. Are you guys always coming across such situations? Looking at how calm everyone was looking, Lin Fan asked suspiciously. Yes. While they may occur at times, it would be rare for anyone to render their assistance. After all, the ancient race is simply way too strong. This is especially the case when the ancient race army gathers. That's even more frightening. Most of the other sects aren't even able to protect themselves, let alone attract more attention to themselves, Jian Shui replied. To think that there would be three sovereign kings who would head out as such. What has the Battle Emperor sect done? Wu Tianhai remarked in disbelief. The power of the three sovereign kings was formidably horrific. Furthermore, the Battle Emperor sect was just a small, weak sect. How could they possibly defend against this? This voice was only transmitted to a vicinity of a small radius within the ancient saint world. At the start, when some of the beings of the thousands of races heard this voice, they were infuriated and wanted to head forth to lend their help. However, the moment they heard that there were going to be three sovereign kings, they calmed down immediately. They knew that they would only be sending themselves to their own deaths even if they were to head over. Looking at the ripples in the void, Lin Fan's heart was gaining some ripples of his own. Three sovereign kings at one go? This was going to save him quite the bit of hassle. Based on Lin Fan's original plan, he had wanted to gather the connate 5 elements first to raise his strength before going over to reap the sovereign king way. But right now, his personal power level had already received the boost that he had wanted from the start, and was strong enough now. Even if the sovereign king were to appear before him right now, he wouldn't be afraid at all. Senior sister, it's the Battle Emperor sect. Yi Dao was still smiling cheekily at the start. However, upon hearing the world-crossing voice transmission, he began shivering from head to toe. Jian Shui and Wu Tianhai exchanged glances with one another. Their eyes shimmered with helplessness. They knew why their junior brother Yi was reacting like this. Junior brother, regarding this matter, don't think about it any longer, Wu Tianhai commented regrettably. Even if the entire Vastness sect were to head over, they would only be fodder for the ancient race. But my wife's there. Yi Dao was starting to panic right now. Even though this wife of his didn't really like him that much, she was still his wife no matter what. Junior brother, even if all of us were to head over, it's useless. 3 sovereign kings, 10 million troops worth of an ancient race army. It would take a blink of an eye for them to annihilate the Battle Emperor sect, Jian Shui tried persuading him. This was an issue that they had no power over. Even if they wanted to lend their help, they didn't have anything they could do at all. Just at this moment, Yi Dao dropped to the floor in a thud. He started kowtowing and begging frantically. Mother seeking human king. Please help me, please. I'm begging you, you must, please. You know me? Lin Fan chuckled in his heart. That downer of a mood he had earlier on was swept clean instantly. Yes, I do. Yes, Yi Dao replied hurriedly. Haha, Lin Fan burst out laughing. Using his hand to cut open the void, he started tracing back to this world-crossing voice transmission skill. What's the name of your wife? Lin Fan was gleeful in his heart right now. To think that these guys would be so naughty. They had evidently known him, but yet they acted as though they didn't. Yu Lan, Yi Dao replied. Junior brother, you can get up now. The mother seeking human king is gone. Wu Tianhai remarked. Gone? Yi Dao was frantic. Yes. He's gone to the Battle Emperor sect. Chapter 644 Chapter 644, The Indignance in the Heart of Sovereign King Wei. Translator, Lam_editor, Hitesh_. The 3 sovereign kings are leading a 10 million troop of ancient race army to surround and attack the Battle Emperor sect. Shall we head up and help? In a sect, an elder was beseeching his grandmaster. Elder Lai Yang. I know that you're on pretty good terms with one of the elders of the Battle Emperor sect. However, you've got to understand that this is no casual situation right now. 3 sovereign kings. Even if we were to send our entire sect over, there would only be a single outcome for us. The moment Elder Lai Yong heard these words, he was filled with pain in his heart. However, he did not wish to let the issue go just like that. Grand Master, perhaps there might be other sects who are lending their assistance as well? Let this matter be. Please head back. The Grand Master did not want to say anything more as he waved his hands and had the elder head back. With an issue as such, there were many major sects who had suffered losses before. In the past, there were some sects who could not stand this overbearing way of the ancient race and had rendered their assistance as well. However, at the end of the day, they realized that there were few sects who would actually lend their help as well. Each and every one of them would choose to safeguard their own interests and watch the fire at bay. However, it wasn't long before a disciple came running in frantically. Grand Master, this is bad. Elder Lai Yong has left the sect. Highs. The Grand Master shook his head, evidently exasperated. This was something that was common in the ancient saint world now. Even if they were to lend their help, they would only be sending themselves to death's door. This was especially the case this time around when 3 sovereign kings were combining forces to deal with a single battle emperor sect. Not only that, they had a 10 million strong ancient race army at their command. Who would be their match at all? Even though there were many beings of the thousands of races, compared to the ancient race, it was still a world of a difference. That was a race that was blessed by the heavens itself. It wasn't something they could go against that easily. The vicinity that the world-crossing voice transmission was sent out by the Battle Emperor sect was way too small. Because of that, there were many sects that did not even know about what was happening right now. Battle Emperor sect. It existed within a derelict sculpture. This sculpture was on the brink of collapse and was filled with dust all over the surface. However, this sculpture was the very symbol that represented the Battle Emperor sect. The Battle Emperor sect resided within an alternate dimension within this sculpture. Thousands of years had passed. The progress of the Battle Emperor sect was rapid as well. However, since the ancient race was a formidable existence to everyone else, they too have chosen to remain hidden without revealing themselves at all. At this moment, outside the sculpture, the skies were a pitch-dense patch of darkness. Only a single look over was needed to see it all filled with ancient race beings. This was a sight that would have any being of the thousands of races filled with fright, causing fear to stem from the very root of their souls. There were so many ancient race beings. If they were to all strike out together, who in the ancient saint world could possibly hold out against them? Amidst this vast and boundless ancient race army, 3 jewel thrones floated gently. There was an ancient race being seated on each of those jewel thrones. The sculpture of the Battle Emperor sect is pretty decent indeed. To think that it could have hidden them for such a long time. Well, we'll see where they can run this time around. The sovereign King Chi's body was bulky, with chilly eyes. The moment he spoke up, a frosty aura emanated in all directions, as though the life and death of everything in this world were all under his control. The Lord Utmost Being has spoken. We must take this sculpture of the Battle Emperor sect back with us. Sovereign King Wei, you've just been appointed not too long ago. Seems like this should be the first mission for you. Later on, you've got to make sure you perform well. Sovereign King Zheng chuckled at Sovereign King Wei, who was seated near him. However, there was a tone of contempt hidden within this chuckle. In the eyes of Sovereign King Qi and Zheng, this newly appointed Sovereign King Wei was nothing but a trash that was forcefully brought up by the Lord Utmost Being. This was an ant-like ancient race soldier who had obtained a present from the Lord Utmost Being, and thus this high position of his. But to them, this Sovereign King Wei was nothing but a pawn in the Lord Utmost Being's game of chess. Sovereign King did not reply. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but with the Sovereign King Qi and Zheng beside him, he was feeling an immense pressure. He knew his own status. He was once a lowly soldier, without any power at all. It was just on the spur of the moment that the Lord Utmost Being had boosted his strength, allowing him to take on the seat of the Sovereign King Wei. However, the heart of the Sovereign King Wei was sinister unlike any others. He swore that he must climb all the way up and have every single other ancient race being fear him. Since the Lord Utmost Being had laid down this mission now, they had to complete this no matter what. With that, the sovereign King Wei stood up. Opening that pitch-black wide palm of his, a massive surge of energy burst forth, causing the void to topple in endlessly. The sculpture of the Battle Emperor sect began to tremble along with it as well. It was as though a strong suction force was trying to pull the Battle Emperor sect out of its hiding place within the sculpture forcefully. At this moment within the Battle Emperor sect, every member from top to bottom was filled with a look of anxiousness. "Are there any other sects that are coming forth to help?" An elder asked hurriedly. No. The elder who was stationed to receive those sects who were coming forth to render assistance shook his head helplessly. This time around, it was a disaster, a calamity. From this day forth, the Battle Emperor sect might perish entirely from the ranks of the beings of the thousands of races. Forget it, forget it. This is the fated tribulation that was destined in our lives. The Grand Master of the Battle Emperor sect lamented. All of us are willing to live and die with the sect, standing up against all the ancient race beings. Outside the main hall stood a grandiose legion of disciples. Standing there, they were upright and honorable in their dispositions. While they knew how horrifying it was outside, they knew that fear wouldn't do them any good either. The only way they could hope to make this out alive was to fight with everything they had for that sliver of hope. Looking at these disciples of his, the Grand Master of the Battle Emperor sect could not help but sigh in his heart. This would be a really bloody battle today. Grand Master Yun of the Cloud sect has arrived. At this moment, a bright light shimmered in the skies. Dozens of figures appeared, floating in the void gently. Brother Wuhi, the Cloud sect is here to help. The moment Grandmaster Yun knew that the Battle Emperor sect was surrounded by the ancient race army, he gathered a few elders with him without any bit of hesitation. Breaking through the void, he headed forth immediately. Many thanks, Grandmaster Yun. Wuhi looked over at Grandmaster Yun and cupped his fists together with a look of extreme gratitude in his face. With the arrival of Grandmaster Yun, Wuhi felt a strand of hope rising in his heart. Grandmaster Yun was someone of a divine celestial level 8, universal elixir state. This was similar to that of sovereign kings Qi and Zheng. He would be able to hold out against one of them at least. This time around, Grandmaster Yun brought forth with him 10 elders for the fight. Meng Hengtian wasn't here. He was back in Cloud Sect, holding on the fort while the Grandmaster wasn't around. The beings of the thousands of races are a big family to begin with. If the Battle Emperor sect is in trouble, how can the Cloud sect not come forth? It's just that this time around, the force of the ancient race is extremely formidable. This is not going to be simple. Grandmaster Yun remarked in the face of the truth. Suddenly, the entire Battle Emperor sect began to rattle. There was a tremendous force pulling at them from the outsides. To think that Sovereign King Wei would have made his move already. The face of Grandmaster Yun sterned up. Slapping out with his fist, he repulsed this suction force entirely. Outside, Sovereign King Wei was startled to find out that a ferocious power was emanated out back at him. Suddenly, his spirit focused as he slapped out a few times, shattering that opposing force. Sovereign King Wei, seems like the Battle Emperor sect has brought forth some strong reinforcements. Sovereign King Zheng burst out laughing. Ignoring Sovereign King Wei, whose face was looking terrible right now, his fingers grabbed out with a claw-like grip that snatched at every single living being. Within his body, a universal elixir erupted forth with a massive amount of strength. All of you, come on out. Under the might of this tremendous force, the Battle Emperor sect was forcefully plucked out from within the sculpture. I'd say, I was thinking who it could be. Seems like it's Grandmaster Yun. So, the Cloud sect is so certain that they're safe and secure that they've gotten the guts to come stand up against the ancient race as such, eh? Sovereign King Zheng could see through the entire Battle Emperor sect with a single sweeping glance. He jeered out sinisterly as he caught sight of a figure within it. Sovereign King Zheng, I trust you have been well since our last meeting? The moment Grandmaster Yun caught sight of Sovereign King Zheng, his face tightened up. In Grandmaster Yun's calculations, if they were to exchange blows right now, the odds of him winning against Sovereign King Zheng were 50-50. Translators thoughts lamb_wow. I'm actually liking this chapter, to be honest. It's telling me quite a bit about the characters and their intentions. But I don't get that random sect that appeared at the beginning though, shrugs haha. Cheers. Chapter 645 Chapter 645 Everyone was hidden like ghosts. Translator, lam_editor, Hitesh_ looking at the situation before him, Grandmaster Yun's face tensed up. This gigantic blanket of an ancient race army before him, these guys were practically leaving them with no way out at all. Even if he could lock down one of the three sovereign kings, the moment this entire army rushed up, the Battle Emperor sect would be drowned into oblivion. At this moment, Grandmaster Yun was clear in his heart. There wasn't any hope left. However, even if there wasn't any hope, he was willing to go at it with all he had. After all, the thought of giving up in the face of the ancient race had never ever come across his mind. The moment the disciples of the Battle Emperor sect caught sight of the sheer number of ancient race beings, they were stumped. The ominous aura that was produced by this vast, boundless army took on the shape of demons by itself. Howling out malevolently, that aura alone was enough to rattle at one's heart. Gulp. The disciples of the Battle Emperor sect swallowed down their saliva as a look of fear filled their faces. They were still trying to hang on despite the situation. But, when they caught sight of the cruel, sneering smiles on the faces of the ancient race beings, all the blood started draining from their faces. Not bad. To think that the Cloud sect would bring forth this many elders with them. Evidently, the Cloud sect is living way too comfortable a life right now. Once I'm done here with the Battle Emperor sect, I guess it's time to go take a tour around the Cloud sect, eh? Sovereign King Jung jeered coldly. A boundless aura erupted forth from him, rumbling along like the vast, endless seas. Under the repression of this aura, all the disciples of the Battle Emperor sect were horrified. They felt as though they had just stepped foot into a deep, endless hell. The moment Grandmaster Yun heard these words, he frowned. Evidently, there was some disbelief in it. However, his face returned to normal almost immediately as he glared straight at the sovereign King Jung. After that battle 500 years ago, I haven't exchanged any blows with you. Seems like we'll have a grasp of the base of your powers today, haha. Don't get too hurried now, Grandmaster Yun. To be honest, all of us at the ancient race had long known about the location of the Cloud sect. However, based on the wishes of our Lord Utmost Being, it wasn't the time to strike yet. But, I guess it makes no difference whether or not I tell you this today. After all, the next sect to be destroyed will be the Cloud sect anyways. Sovereign King Jung laughed wildly as his eyes shone with a cold intent. For the Sovereign King Jung, the beings of the thousands of races were nothing but mere fishes. Each time he needed food, he would kill them. Even though Grandmaster Yun's hands were hidden behind his back, they were breaking out in cold sweat. The words of Sovereign King Jung had evidently laid down an immense pressure on him. He had not expected that the ancient race would know about the Cloud sect's location. However, how could that be right? The place where the Cloud sect was hidden was extremely inconspicuous. How could the ancient race possibly find out about it? But, this was not the right time to be worrying about stuff as such. Even though there were many powerful beings within the Battle Emperor sect, there were not many top-tiered powerful fighters. Even the cultivation state of Grandmaster Wu He of the Battle Emperor sect was only that of a divine celestial level 7, all in one state. Even if he could hold off Sovereign King Jung, what about Sovereign King Qi? Based on Sovereign King Qi's powers, he could take down Wu He and the others just by batting his eyelids. Seemed like he could only depend on himself to hold off against two of them then. Otherwise, there truly wasn't any way out of this. Grandmaster Yun, you don't have to overthink about this. Today, the Battle Emperor sect must definitely be annihilated. You want to hold off against Sovereign King Qi and me? But, I'm afraid you don't really know how strong our children of the ancient race army are, right? Do you believe that if I were to just order a single command and have all of them strike down, there would be no one left alive in the entire Battle Emperor sect just like that? Sovereign King Jung laughed out tauntingly. Grandmaster Yun's face turned terrible. Sovereign King Jung was right. Given their sheer numbers, there was no way for the Battle Emperor sect to defend against this. Even all of those elders that he had brought along wouldn't be able to fight against that. Amongst the 10 million strong ancient race army, there were countless legatus. Their cultivation states weren't weak either. If sovereign kings Zheng and Qi weren't around, he would have the confidence of killing those legatus. However, now that these two sovereign kings were present, there was no chance of him even getting to strike out at them. Right now, the atmosphere of the entire place was extremely repressive. All of those disciples of the Battle Emperor sect who were being pushed back felt their entire spirits being caged up. Some of the disciples sat on the ground, crippled and with listless eyes. Before they had even gotten to the battlefield, they had lost their fighting spirits. Some of the disciples wielded weapons in their hands. However, those weapons were trembling all the time uncontrollably. I'm afraid. I don't wish to die. But I hate the ancient race. Therefore, I've got to remain strong. The ancient race has killed my parents, but yet here I am being so useless. Even though 50 years have passed and the enemy stands before my eyes, I'm still as afraid as ever. Amongst them were some genius disciples. They were unparalleled within the same cultivation states, and it only took them a short time of training before they got to the strongest states of training respectively. In the eyes of the Grand Master, elders, and fellow disciples, they were poised to be the strongest existences in the future. However, it was all too late for that now. After all, the enemy would never accord them with the chance to turn into that strongest existence they were meant to be. There were countless of beings of the thousands of races. However, amongst them, only few would get the chance to turn strong and grow up. The rest of them would undoubtedly die along the way. The ancient race wasn't dumb. They knew that they mustn't allow these beings to get stronger. After all, they would definitely be a formidable force to deal with once they were strong. And, the beings of the thousands of races did not let the ancient race down either. Each and every one of them were as timid as mice and would never band up together. Taking this invasion of the ancient race army against the Battle Emperor sect this time around, for example, if the beings of the thousands of races were to band up and stand strong together, even if the casualties were innumerable and the losses substantial, they would be able to hold them back. However, that was all in theory. He looked at the disciples under him, feeling helpless in his heart. At this moment, somewhere else in the void, a shroud of black mist moved around. Within this black mist, a group of people were hidden within. Palace Master, it's going to be over for the Battle Emperor sect. An elderly figure with dried-up skin and draped in black robes croaked hoarsely. Gui Pu, you're right. Even I had not expected the ancient race to send forth these many soldiers for the operation. Even those two old fogies, Sovereign Kings Zheng and Qi, are here. If they truly want to protect the Battle Emperor sect, they would have to have 10 Divine Celestial Level 8, Universal Elixir State powerful beings at the very least. Palace Master, that is undoubtedly just a tale of fantasy. Gui Pu replied. That's right. However, our purpose this time around isn't to help the Battle Emperor sect, of course. The utmost being of the ancient race killed my son. I'll have him pay the price. Since I can't kill the utmost being himself, I'll just have to settle for 3 of his lackey dogs. This middle-aged man with a demonic charm scoffed out coldly. His tone was filled with a boundless fury. This man was the Palace Master of the Evil Alliance. He was also the father of the Evil Alliance Prince. Wait till the Sovereign Kings Zheng and Qi get into a scuffle with that old man Yun. By then, your Palace Master here shall head down to clean them up in one fell swoop. The Evil Alliance Palace Master remarked frostily. Palace Master, if the utmost being of the ancient race catches wind of this, wouldn't it be? Gui Pu asked at the side. HMPH. So what if that happens? Even though the utmost being of the ancient race is powerful, don't we have anyone here at the Evil Alliance that's capable as well? The Evil Alliance Palace Master asked. Palace Master, look over there. The Fox Emperor is here as well. Gui Pu turned his head into the void nearby and frowned. When he looked over, he caught sight of a man whose aura was akin to that of the royalty in the 9 heavens. Embracing beautiful ladies in both his arms, he laid down on a throne made of foxskin and squinted his eyes while glaring at the happenings below. To think that that crafty fox would be here too. He must be here to take advantage of the situation. Evil Alliance Palace Master smirked icily. Watch out for him later on. This crafty old fox is someone who wouldn't even bat an eyelid at being nefarious. His methods are extremely vile. Yes, Palace Master. The Evil Alliance Palace Master and the Fox Emperor exchanged a casual glance, not too bothered about the other. For the both of them, as long as their interests did not clash, they wouldn't bother the other. Translator's thoughts alright, so where is my Lin Fan? Also, Gui Pu actually means ghost servant. Not sure if he's a summoned slave, but he seems like a real person for now, so I'll just stick to his name as it is. Cheers. Chapter 646 Chapter 646, Dead with a Punch. Translator, Lam_editor, Hitesh_. There was a gulf of a difference in the powers possessed by both sides. Unless a miracle were to appear, it would practically be a hopeless situation right now. I'm a little tired of talking now. Children, go forth and devour the Battle Emperor sect so that we can head home and sleep. Sovereign King Jung gave a loud yawn. He was completely looking down on the Battle Emperor sect right now. Waving his hands, the entire 10 million troops swooped down onto the Battle Emperor sect in a swarm that reeked of a seething aura. Grandmaster Yun, your opponent is me. You had better start thinking about yourself first. Once the Battle Emperor sect is destroyed, you're the next to die. Sovereign King Jung laughed coldly. The moment everyone from the Battle Emperor sect caught sight of this massive army, they were dumbfounded. Now that they were surrounded, it didn't matter where they went, up or down. The ancient race soldiers growled malevolently one after another. Kill all of these living beings. Swallow them up. They must taste delicious. The legatus of the ancient race who were hidden within that army were like devious ghosts, sneaking around, all ready for a sneak attack at any moment. Grandmaster Yun. To think that you're here too. Sovereign King Jung, who was about to strike out, retracted his hand and stood where he was. The moment Grandmaster Yun heard this voice, his brows twitched a little, somewhat bewildered. However, when he saw the person who had arrived, he called out in joy, Lin Fan, it's been a long time. I think it's been around 3 years? Lin Fan chuckled. Why are you here? Grandmaster Yun asked puzzledly. Why? Grandmaster Yun, are you the only one who can come help defend against the ancient race fearlessly while I'm not allowed? Lin Fan smiled. Haha, Grandmaster Yun burst out laughing. For a moment, he had entirely forgotten about the situation they were in right now. The elders who had come along with the Grandmaster were initially pretty perplexed over who this person who had arrived was. But upon closer inspection, a person suddenly came to their mind. The human who was rumored to have a Brokeback Mountain relationship with the Grandmaster. Even though they had not witnessed it for themselves, they had heard of this rumor spreading within the sect before. Initially, they did not believe in this rumor. After all, what sort of a character was their Grandmaster? How would he engage in an act as such? However, as time went by, they started to believe in it. After all, in the entire 3 years, the one person that the Grandmaster had mentioned the most about was none other than Lin Fan. In fact, Grandmaster Yun wasn't the only one always talking about Lin Fan. Elder Meng Hengtian would talk about him from time to time as well. Furthermore, there was once during a sect banquet when Elder Meng Hengtian was drunk, and he actually let out some horrifying facts. Highs, I wonder where that Lin Fan lad has gone to. Back then, me and Grandmaster Yun had such a good and pleasurable time with him. Even just thinking back about that has me reminiscing about it. The moment these words came out of Meng Hengtian's mouth, everyone were entirely stumped. However, they did not point it out at all. After all, to them, this must be some sort of a disease. With that, the elders of the Cloud sect would then bring back girls repeatedly from time to time, hoping that Grandmaster Yun and Elder Meng Hengtian could walk out of the shadows of this ailment. When Wu He saw that someone was approaching, he was under the impression that it might be some powerful being. However, when he saw that it was just a young man, he let out a slight sigh. Seemed like at every critical moment, any small little disturbance would be taken in as a lifesaver even. The disciples of the Battle Emperor sect were shocked at this moment. Against these ancient race beings, they were extremely timid right now. Ever since they were young, they had known how vile and vicious they were. However, there were some disciples who had a really high battle intent right now instead. These were the people who had ascended up from the lower worlds. They knew that the more dangerous the situation, the more they could burst forth with the potential they had within them. Grandmaster Yun, to think that you would even be in the mood for casual chit-chat even at this juncture. Could it be that you've given up hope of even defending at all? Sovereign King Zheng laughed coldly. Lin Fan, these guys over here are Sovereign Kings Zheng and Qi here. You've got to watch out a little later on. Grandmaster Yun did not know just how strong Lin Fan was right now. However, he knew that if they were talking about a savant such as this guy, he would definitely be at some monstrous hell of a cultivation state with just 3 years of time. That's right. Did you truly kill the essence spirit doppelganger of the utmost being, cruel? Grandmaster Yun asked in a low tone. Lin Fan's brows frowned a little as he chuckled out, what do you think? It must be, then. Grandmaster Yun smiled and replied. Courting death. Did you guys not hear the words of your sovereign king here? Looking at how the other party was ignoring him, Sovereign King Zheng bellowed out. Shout what shout? Would it kill you to wait just a little longer? Lin Fan looked over at Sovereign King Zheng with a pissed face. You, Sovereign King Zheng had not expected the person before him to be this brazen. He then chuckled out frostily, good, very good. Sovereign King Zheng, this man before you is the mother seeking human king, Lin Fan. Even your own master, utmost being, cruel, has suffered a loss before his very face. Do you really take yourself as someone that's stronger than cruel? Grandmaster Yun declared in a loud voice. This sentence wasn't meant for the Sovereign King Zheng. It was meant for the ears of everyone out there. He had noticed how the disciples of the Battle Emperor sect was looking. In a situation as such, how could they possibly win over the ancient race? However, just as Grandmaster Yun spoke out with those words, its impact was indeed explosive. The entire ancient race army was stunned as their sights turned towards Lin Fan. The mighty name of the mother seeking human king was as loud as thunder that was booming in their ears. Just how many ancient race soldiers had died in the hands of this guy? God knew how many. There were too many to be counted. The moment Grandmaster Wu He of the Battle Emperor sect heard these words, his face changed immediately. He definitely believed in the words of Grandmaster Yun. These disciples of the Battle Emperor sect looked at the figure in the void with a blank expression on their faces. This man was the great mother seeking human king? The supremely powerful being who had killed the essence spirit doppelganger of the utmost being of the ancient race? The feeling of the adoring gazes from the masses was so great that Lin Fan could not help but straighten his back. His aura turned extremely calm on the surface while he was sniggering in his heart. This buff of *T from Grandmaster Yun came at a time where he was caught totally unaware. But that didn't matter. Yours truly loved it. He's the mother seeking human king, the mother seeking human king who has killed the ancient race beings the entire world over. Ah, to think that our idol would come forth and rescue us. Haha, we won't have to die now. With the mother seeking human king around, what else do we have to be afraid of? None. Looking at these burst of cheers, Lin Fan felt a little embarrassed now. Grandmaster Yun looked over at Lin Fan and gave a heartened smile. It had been 3 years since he had seen this guy. But still, he could tell that this lad had matured quite a fair bit. To be able to remain so composed upon hearing this many praises coming at him. Not bad, not bad. Lin Fan pushed down with his hands, indicating for the crowd to get silent. Grandmaster Yun's face was filled with a calm smile. At this moment, everyone's morale was extremely high-strung. As long as Lin Fan could motivate them a little, it would definitely dispel the fear from their hearts, allowing them to face the ancient race army with confidence. None F***CK, that's right. If we're unhappy, we F***CK. Grandmaster Yun looked at Lin Fan and sighed helplessly. Seemed like he had thought too much. And just at this moment, Lin Fan pointed his finger into the distance. He then looked over at the disciples of the Battle Emperor sect and shouted out, tell me, what's over there? Sovereign King Wei of the ancient race. The disciples of the Battle Emperor sect did not know what their idol was trying to do, but they still replied earnestly. You're wrong. There's nothing there. It's just a tuft of air, Lin Fan replied. Everyone was stunned. What did he mean? Wasn't the Sovereign King Wei obviously there? But just at this moment, a loud explosion rang out. By the time everyone turned their heads into the distance, they were utterly dumbfounded by what had just happened. The mother**-seeking human king had just punched the sovereign King Wei into oblivion with a single punch. Tell me now, what's that? Lin Fan blew the dust off his knuckles. Indeed, he was killed with a single punch. So damn bloody weak. Everyone from the Battle Emperor sect waited with bated breath. At this moment, they all screamed out together. That's pure air, that's right. All of you guys have a good eyesight. All right, now, follow my tempo and let's go. Pick up our weapons and give them a good round of F***seeking. Lin Fan's emotions were raving in all directions right now. The sight of this many ancient race beings available for the plucking had him extremely emotional right now. Pick up our weapons. None, Lin Fan, hold it in. Hold it in. At this, Grandmaster Yun and the others were completely stumped. Just what sort of a tempo was everything going at right now? Even Sovereign Kings Zheng and Qi were stunned. Where in the world did this guy spout out from? But just at this moment, yet another explosion rang out from the distance. To think that it would be you. This voice was filled with an endless rage. Lin Fan raised his head and looked up into the void. He could not help but be puzzled. Just who in the world were these two fellas? Did he even know them? Translator's thoughts. Hi guys, I really have to apologize for the lack of replies to your comments the past few days. I'm falling sick and I've been trying my best to rest as much as I can to recover while translating. At the same time, Singapore's army is conscription-based. Even after completion, you're required to attend 10 cycles of reservist call-ups, which lasts anytime from a few days to up to say, 0.2 months? The cycles are usually once per year. So, that's 10 years. But anyways, my call-up for this year starts on Tuesday till Friday. So I might not be able to look out for your comments etc. because I'll be in camp. I apologize in advance. This is also the reason why I really want to recover before heading in, because going through my exercises and training with a sick body will really be hell. The chapters will be auto-updated still, don't worry. Cheers. Chapter 647. Chapter 647, quite the number of foes. Translator, lam_editor, hitesh_ding, congratulations on killing Divine Celestial Level 7, all in one state. Sovereign King Wei, ding, experience points plus 650,000. What? Isn't this Sovereign King Wei too full of crap? Doesn't he have anything at all? Sovereign King Wei wasn't someone whom Lin Fan would be too concerned about by now. His connate paradise had already spawned out 13,000 living beings within it. As such, his powers have already climbed to a horrifying degree. As to just how strong this truly was, Lin Fan personally had no idea either. However, killing Sovereign King Wei in a split second was still something that was definitive. However, no matter what, he was only a Divine Celestial Level 5, Essence Spirit State being personally. Now that he had killed Sovereign King Wei in the blink of an eye, shouldn't he get a little something? But, after killing him, Lin Fan realized that this guy was all talk and no show. Other than his physical cultivation state being that of a Divine Celestial Level 7, all-in-one state being, everything else was forcefully brought up. One tap at his paradise was enough to shatter it. It didn't even have a foundation to it. Weak. This was way too weak. However, for the members of the Battle Emperor sect, this was absolutely blinding. To think that Sovereign King Wei would be blown apart with a single punch just like that. Isn't this way too strong? The mother**-seeking human king is not for show indeed. His powers are firm and resolute. With him around, there's no way these ancient race beings would dare to act so brazenly. As for Sovereign Kings Qi and Zheng, the fact that Sovereign King Wei was killed in a single strike wasn't something that they had expected either. Even though Sovereign King Wei was someone who was forcefully boosted up by the Lord Utmost Being, his strength still wasn't any small piece of cake. Even if it were themselves, it'd be impossible for them to kill him in a split second like this. However, to think that this human could have taken him down in a jiffy just like that without a single bit of effort? How could this not shock them at all? Uncontrollably, Sovereign Kings Zheng and Qi couldn't help but tense up. In the beginning, they had thought that this living being was nothing more than an ant. But to think that this ant would be this strong. At this moment, 2 tears appeared in the void above. Everyone cast their gazes into the skies above, wondering who it was that had arrived. Who are you guys? Do I know you? Lin Fan looked at and asked in a perplexed tone. The cultivation states of these 2 guys weren't weak. To think that they would even be equals of Sovereign Kings Qi and Zheng. In fact, just from the aura emanating out from them alone, Lin Fan personally felt that they were even scarier than Sovereign Kings Qi and Zheng. Evil Alliance Palace Master, Fox Emperor. The moment Grandmaster Yun caught sight of the both of them, his face could not help but crumple up. These guys were beings who were extremely nefarious in the ancient saint world. Their methods were vicious, and there was no way they could be here for a good reason. You were the one who killed my daughter? The Fox Emperor glared at Lin Fan coldly, his heart burning with a slow rage. There were countless children to his name. Naturally, he wouldn't care that much about something like that. However, the thing that had him angst was the fact that this human had not given him much respect. That was something that the Fox Emperor couldn't forgive. Killed your daughter? Who's your daughter? Lin Fan was stunned. He had killed so many people. How in the world would he know which one was his daughter? Oh, I remember now. You're the father of that little fox brat? The one whose consciousness had appeared before me to act up a show of bullsh*t but was sent leaving in an utter defeat, right? Lin Fan suddenly recalled. Wasn't this guy the father of that Bai Ling or something? If he were to count with his fingers, it would be around 3 years now. What? This guy was still bearing a grudge over something like that? Gosh, what a petty person he was. Brazen. The moment the Fox Emperor saw how this guy before him was still so insolent, his face changed immediately. His royal aura was rumbling right now, as though he was bent on slaughtering every single living being in this world. Hold on now. What are you hurrying about? Lin Fan raised his hand to stop the other party. He then cast his gaze at the other person present, but you? I don't know you at all. However, judging by the look in your eyes, it seems as though you've got quite the grudge against me as well. Okay, come, tell me. What's your problem now? None. Although the utmost being of the ancient race was still the one who had killed his son ultimately, this mother-seeking human king was the instigator behind it. Since he couldn't kill the utmost being, he would rather pin all the blame onto this human before him. Oh, right. I remember now. So, your son is that evil alliance prince who failed his act of bullsh*t and ended up getting culled? Oh, but I've got to say he did die quite the terrible death. He was devoured entirely by the doppelganger of the utmost being. I know you must be feeling really pained in your heart, and you have my condolences. Lin Fan shrugged his shoulders and replied in a tone of exasperation. To think that this time around, there would be these many people seeking him for vengeance. This wasn't something that Lin Fan had expected. To think that he would have so many foes out there. Gosh, if even the Namo Saint Emperor that he had offended in the lower world were here right now, the entire ensemble would be complete then. You shut up. The Evil Alliance Palace Master roared in rage. His expression then focused up. This time around, the reason why I came out is to have you slain. All have you know the consequences of killing my son. Oh, so, you're here to kill me. But I think you've got to wait up a little. These 2 sovereign kings want to kill me as well. Lin Fan wasn't afraid in the least bit. He was someone with tricks up his sleeves and a background to boot. Even though things might get a little tricky with the appearance of the Evil Alliance Palace Master and the Fox Emperor, the moment Lin Fan thought of his ace in the hole, he wasn't afraid at all. None. Sovereign Kings Qi and Zheng, what do you guys say about combining forces? The Evil Alliance Palace Master looked at Lin Fan in rage before turning to the 2 sovereign kings. After witnessing the strength of the mother-seeking human king, the 2 sovereign kings were troubled right now. To think that this guy who had appeared out of nowhere would be this strong. However, the moment they heard the words of the Evil Alliance Palace Master, they chuckled out as well. All right, sure. Combine forces? Let's do it. After all, the Evil Alliance has made many trades with the ancient race. I guess you guys can be considered as half-friends. Sovereign King Zheng burst out laughing. What about you, Fox Emperor? Evil Alliance Palace Master looked over at the Fox Emperor. The Fox Emperor remained silent for a moment before opening both of his eyes. All right. We'll combine forces and destroy the Battle Emperor sect first then. The Fox Emperor knew that if they didn't combine forces, he might not be able to get his revenge at all. However, if they did, it would definitely be a formidable force to behold. By then, was there any way this mother-seeking human king wouldn't die still? Evil Alliance Palace Master, Fox Emperor, both of you guys are beings of the thousands of races as well. How can you guys side with the ancient race? Grandmaster Yun strode forth and hollered out. He had not expected the Evil Alliance Palace Master and the Fox Emperor to call for a partnership with the ancient race beings here. This would certainly cause things to get tricky. The strength of the Evil Alliance Palace Master and the Fox Emperor were no weaker than his. If they were to truly go at it, the Evil Alliance Palace Master and the Fox Emperor might even be that bit stronger. Even though Lin Fan was powerful, if he were to face up with the combined attacks of the Evil Alliance Palace Master, Fox Emperor, and Ancient Race, it might still get dangerous out there. Old man Yun, cut your crap. The way the Evil Alliance conducts out business has nothing to do with you. The Evil Alliance Palace Master snorted coldly. At the start, the disciples of the Battle Emperor sect were still filled with an excited mood. However, the way the situation unfolded had them tensing up as well. There were now two more powerful beings added into the fray. However, these two powerful beings were not on their side. They were going to join up with the ancient race. Now, this didn't sound right at all. You guys are practically a disgrace to the thousands of races. Grandmaster Yun bellowed in disdain. Haha. Nothing you say now is going to help the situation at all. Mother-seeking human king, I know you're really strong. However, I've just go to see how you can protect all these ants right here. The Evil Alliance Palace Master turned his gaze towards everyone around. The moment the masses heard these words, their faces froze up. They started getting restless and uneasy. Translators thoughts lamb_lamb_, alright, fight. Fight. I want to see just how strong our dear boy has gotten. Can he take them down with ease? Chapter 648 None. To think that the Evil Alliance Palace Master would be so despicable to want to head straight for the masses of the Battle Emperor sect. All of the elders who were brought forth by Grandmaster Yun changed their expressions immediately. Sovereign Kings Qi and Zheng along with the Fox Emperor, if those three were to hold down the mother-seeking human king and their Grandmaster, there was no way all of them could even fend off against the Evil Alliance Palace Master. Not only that, there were countless legatus within the ancient race army. There were also quite a number of divine celestial level 5 or 6 powerful beings. Even though Battle Emperor sect was a sect, they didn't have too many disciples with high cultivation states. Most likely, even if the mother-seeking human king and the others were to live on, the Battle Emperor sect might just cease to exist. What a shameless piece of sh*t. The masses were enraged within their hearts right now. To think that this Evil Alliance Palace Master would be this shameless. Evil Alliance Palace Master, this is our battle to fight. To think that you would discard your honor and strike out at the mere disciples of the Battle Emperor sect, Grandmaster Yun lectured out harshly, infuriated in his heart. The Evil Alliance Palace Master could be considered quite a powerful being as well. How could he be so shamelessly despicable? Haha, old man Yun. Don't place your righteous notions onto me. The way the Evil Alliance conducts our business is to exterminate from the roots down. Since you want to help the Battle Emperor sect, we'll just have to see if you've got the capabilities to do so. Naturally, the Evil Alliance Palace Master wasn't going to give in just like that. He was going to have everyone from the Battle Emperor sect killed right here. This was all to let the mother-seeking human king know that if he wanted to save them, then your palace master here would just have to kill all of them before his very eyes. Right now, Grandmaster Wu He of the Battle Emperor sect was looking pretty terrible. To think that things would develop as such. From the start, it was already pretty difficult to deal with the two sovereign kings. To think that there would be two more powerful beings added to the fray now. The Evil Alliance Palace Master and the Fox Emperor both had really notorious names, and were extremely difficult to deal with. This wasn't even including the ancient race army that was waiting. Even if those two didn't choose to strike out, the ancient race army could just exhaust them out indefinitely before annihilating the Battle Emperor sect just like that. Evil Alliance Palace Master, we brought with us a 10 million strong army. It doesn't matter how many powerful beings they have in their midst. The Battle Emperor sect must die. Even if there were only these few left in the end, what can they do? Sovereign King Qi was filled with confidence of winning this right now. Even though the death of Sovereign King Wei had brought him that little bit of a surprise, that moment had long since disappeared into the air. After all, it was only someone insignificant who had died anyway. Lin Fan, how many of them can you hold back? Grandmaster Yun came beside Lin Fan and asked in a soft whisper. This situation right now was definitely cumbersome. If it were only the Sovereign King Qi and the others, so be it. But there were the 10 million troops that they had to consider right now as well. While the strength of the ancient race army was definitely incomparable to their own, it was still a formidable force to behold for the disciples of the Battle Emperor sect. That vast sea of soldiers was definitely enough to break through anything. Even if it were he himself who had to face off this entire 10 million troops ancient race army, he could definitely kill quite a number. But he reckoned that he'd still be forced retreating at the end of the day. Hold back how many? All of them, of course, Lin Fan replied indifferently. Ah, Grandmaster Yun did not know what Lin Fan meant by this. Hold back all of them? Even if he had the intention to do so, he had to have the matching power to boot. Looking at how Grandmaster Yun was somewhat disbelieving of his words, Lin Fan chuckled out helplessly. However, it did not bother him. After all, in a few moments' time, everyone would know whether what he said was true or not. Swallow up all of those living beings. Today, we shall flatten the entire Battle Emperor sect. Sovereign King Zheng waved his hands. With that, the ancient race army began to move as they let out a sinister, cold grin amongst all of the soldiers. For everyone from this ancient race army right now, there was only a limited number of prey available. If they were any bit slower, they might not be able to get anything at all. Evil Alliance Palace Master, Fox Emperor, you guys take care of that mother**seeking human king. I'll kill off that old man Yun together with Sovereign King Qi, Sovereign King Zheng bellowed. Haha. Children. Kill and feast on them. Don't leave any standing. Sovereign King Qi burst out laughing wildly as an endless aura shot out from him. This aura was extremely berserk as it rippled through the entire world. Hold on. Just at this moment, Lin Fan shouted up into the skies above him, are you guys bloody sick in the head? Do you guys really think that you're going to do us in for sure? Lin Fan was pretty displeased right now. Were this bunch of ancient race beings just a bloody bunch of brain-dead shish **ts? Did they really think that they could act so insolently just because they had the advantage in numbers? Mother**seeking human king, what else do you have to say? Are you starting to feel afraid now? But the outcome for you today is fixed. You shall have to die here, Sovereign King Zheng laughed out mockingly. Fear your little p***nis hair. Good, good. You guys are really acting tough, now that you think you've got tons of people under you. But today, yours truly will just have to see who has the strongest capabilities. All of you, come on out, Lin Fan bellowed, getting a little peeved. These guys were really way too much. Did they really take them for pushovers? Grandmaster Yun did not know what Lin Fan was trying to do. However, he was instantly flabbergasted in the next moment. Everyone from the Battle Emperor sect had already made their preparations for the attack. While they might feel fear in their hearts, all of them felt a boundless amount of courage surging within them. They were going to fight the ancient race till their deaths. However, just at this moment, the voids boomed out with a bright beam of light. It was so dazzling that everyone's eyes were starting to sting because of it. Old Master Universe, get the hell out. Yudu Ghost Emperor, get the hell out. Eon Fire God Emperor, get the hell out. Massacring Emperor, get the hell out. ... In the blink of an eye, following Lin Fan's bellow, the entire world shone with a bright radiance. Yin and Yang were interchanging rapidly while a demonic picture of Taiji rose up along with a tremendous aura that filled the entire world with it. So strong. This aura is just so strong. The moment Old Master Universe came out, the strange phenomenon that followed him was absolutely confounding. They had sensed an immensely unparalleled amount of energy surging out towards them. This power was so strong that it was in a state where they couldn't even fight against it at all. However, it wasn't long before yet another astounding sight appeared. Yet another massive aura emitted forth. This aura was sinister beyond any other. Countless ghosts filled the sky, howling and wailing. A black light covered the world. It seemed as though some terrifying existence was living within this black light. Following tightly after was yet another strong aura. A sea of flames surged through the entire world, burning with an ancient rage. The sky was as red as they could get under this scorching blaze, as though it could melt down at any moment. What's this? Just where are these auras coming from? Who's the one producing them? How could they be this strong? What has the mother-seeking human emperor done? Why is there this sudden influx of tremendous auras? At this moment, everyone was stumped. Under these 8 different auras, they felt as though they were little ships coursing through this gigantic tsunami right now that could swallow them up at any moment. So strong. Feeling these 8 auras, even Grandmaster Yun could not help but tense up a little. At the same time, he looked at Lin Fan with a curious look in his eyes. He wondered just what sort of a method Lin Fan was using right now. Sovereign Kings Qi, Zheng, and the others changed their expressions in unison. They could feel the extremely ferocious auras appearing. This aura wasn't something they could go against. The Evil Alliance Palace Master exchanged glances with the Fox Emperor. Both of them revealed a filling panic within their eyes at this moment. They had not expected the mother-seeking human king to have this up his sleeves. You bunch of B***stards. Yours truly here had not intended on bullying you guys from the start. But, you guys are simply going way overboard. Since that's the case, yours truly shall have to oppress you guys with pure strength and squish you guys to death, boom. Lightning flashed and crackled across the entire sky. In the blink of an eye, 8 figures appeared suddenly within the void. Following it, all 8 of them kneeled down onto the ground and kowtowed in a flush. Master. Chapter 649. At this moment, Lin Fan nodded his head indifferently, showing a calm expression on his face. No matter what, these 8 old fogies were still divine celestial level 10, eternal God state beings. Even though they were tortured for 10,000 years in the body of the utmost being, causing their powers to be far from their peak, their eternal God cultivation state was still there. The skeletal camel still loomed greater than a horse. It shouldn't be an issue for them to f***ck these guys here to death. Lin Fan had actually taken a slight liking to them by now. After tossing them in his paradise, other than having them cultivate Shengyang pills day and night, he still gave them the chance to repair their cultivations. The Thunder Trainer King was a genius who was skilled in holding 2 jobs simultaneously, training and guidance. Not only had he made these guys follow his every whim and will obediently, he had even improved their innate potentials and nature. Therefore, even if one were a useless piece of trash, they could still have a chance to reach their peak status once again. At this moment, everyone turned their gazes to Lin Fan with a stoned expression. While the members of the Battle Emperor sect did not know who the 8 of them were, they could tell just from the aura alone that they definitely possessed an unusually strong strength to them. Grandmaster Yun's cultivation state was that of a divine celestial level 8, universal elixir state. Therefore, his perspective and knowledge on things were most definitely way higher than most other people. As such, he was the one who was most sensitive to pick up on how terrifying the 8 of them were. They're at eternal God cultivation state? Grandmaster Yun was stumped right now. He did not know how Lin Fan could have taken in such powerful beings under his wings. Back when the 8 of them had their own freedoms, they were all vicious individuals. They killed wantonly and robbed others of their belongings after. There was no sin or crime they wouldn't commit. Naturally, they were hidden really well. Therefore, within the ancient saint world, there weren't many people who knew of their backgrounds and stuff like that. Later on, after they were subjugated by the utmost being, Cruel, they then disappeared from the ancient saint world without a trace, and had never appeared ever since. Even people who had once known them gradually forgot about them to the back of their heads. How could this be? Looking at the 8 peaceful beings before his eyes, Sovereign King Zheng could not help but feel fright right now. The aura emanating from the 8 of them gave him a deep and incomprehensible feeling. The Fox Emperor and the Evil Alliance Palace Master exchanged glances with one another as a bubbling fear rose within their hearts. Even though Lin Fan and Grandmaster Yun were strong, both of them wasn't enough to have them feel fear in their hearts. However, these 8 old fogies out of nowhere possessed an aura one stronger than the other. Evidently, their powers were nothing to be scoffed at. If they could fight, they would. If they couldn't, they'd retreat. For devious people such as the Fox Emperor and the Evil Alliance Palace Master, this was the creed of life. This was the creed that had allowed them to enjoy a life of ease all the way till their peak. At this moment, both of them were considering escaping. These 8 old fogies were simply way too beguiling. They wouldn't engage in something they didn't have the confidence in. Seal up the heaven and earth. I don't suppose you guys are going to have any issues killing all of the ancient race troops? Lin Fan asked. No problem, Master. 8 divine celestial level 10, eternal god state powerful beings. If they couldn't even deal with these 10 million ant-like beings, they would have lived their lives for nothing now. Ants would be ants at the end of the day. No matter how many of them there were, it would still just be a large number of ants. A truly powerful being could just use his aura to repress all of them and burst his way through. Grandmaster Yun, then these guys over here, hand them over to me. It had been a long time since Lin Fan had been in a true battle now. Sovereign Kings Qi, Zheng, the Fox Emperor, and Evil Alliance Palace Master, all of these were powerful beings of the previous generation. Lin Fan wanted to have a taste of his own powers right now. Lin Fan, you're going to fight them all alone? Grandmaster Yun asked, startled with some disbelief. The 4 of them weren't weak at all. Even if it were him, he wouldn't dare to guarantee that he may be able to get out of their hands alive. Hey, have you forgotten about my physical body state? Lin Fan chuckled. Oh, that's true. Suddenly, Grandmaster Yun recalled this point. Lin Fan's physical body state was that of a divine celestial level 8, universal elixir state being right now. Whether or not these few fellas could even harm him was another issue. The Fox Emperor and the Evil Alliance Palace Master had already intended to escape. However, at this moment, they found out that the heaven and earth were sealed by these guys. There was no way for them to run even if they wanted to. Like ravenous wolves, the 8 old fogies darted into the midst of that ancient race army. For these powerful beings of divine celestial level 10, eternal god state, these ancient race beings were nothing but weak chickens that they could kill with the back of their hands. The 4 of you, come on. Today, I shall have all of you slain. Lin Fan beckoned with his hands in a taunting manner. None. Oh, we won't really know who the victor who emerges eventually will be yet, right? Mark my words. Even though the ancient race is really strong right now, there will definitely come the day when you guys will finally face the descent of terror upon your faces, Lin Fan scorned coldly. He did not want to waste his breath any longer as he darted towards them straight away. Mother *seeking human king, let us go now and we'll let this matter go. The Fox Emperor remarked. Dream on. Since you're here, do stay here then. Ripples were releasing forth from both of Lin Fan's hands as though they were combing through the heavens and earth. Ever since his nirvana finger had been strengthened, the tremors of the void possessed an even greater might than before. I, the sovereign King Zheng, have reigned over the entire world with my might. Anyone who dares to provoke me as such would only have death awaiting them. Sovereign King Zheng knew that the other party wasn't some pushover. Therefore, he didn't dare to be overconfident. The powers within his body surged as a golden elixir inside let out rays of blinding light. Lin Fan, watch out now. That's the universal god beam. The moment Grandmaster Yun caught sight of this, he could not help but speak out as a reminder. Since Lin Fan had not reached the universal elixir cultivation state yet, he naturally did not know about the mythical purposes of that state. However, he had faith in his own cultivation state, which is why he wasn't afraid. In the blink of an eye, Lin Fan rained out with a few hundred punches. Every single punch was earth-shattering, with a formidable might to them. Each punch transformed into a doomsday calamity god. These doomsday calamity gods were extremely menacing, wielding a small little world that was destructive on its own in their palms, causing a boundless amount of doomsday aura to erupt forth from it as they slammed it out at the sovereign King Zheng. Doomsday Calamity God Fist was a skill that possessed an incredible amount of destructive force to it. Now that Lin Fan had trained it up to a certain degree, he had also infused multiple skills into it, using their strengths to mend its shortcomings. The moment it was deployed, it possessed a monstrous amount of ferocious power. The Universe God Beam pierced through everything like a series of sharp blades that slammed out at Lin Fan's body. Clang! Clang! What's this? Lin Fan patted his chest indifferently, not bothered about it in the least bit. To think that your physical body state is this strong. How can that be? Initially, when the Sovereign King Jung saw how the Universe God Beam had landed squarely on the body of the other party, he was exhilarated. However, in the blink of an eye, he stood there watching everything with his jaws agape. To think that he could defend against the Universe God Beam with just his mere body alone. That was unimaginable. The higher one's cultivation state was, the harder it would be to train up on their physical body states. After one entered the Divine Celestial Level 4, Undying state, their powers would be infused into every single fiber of their being. If they wanted to strengthen their physical body states, they would have to strengthen every single piece of meat there was. For any single race out there, this was an incredibly difficult feat to achieve. Even the Vajra and Giant races whose physical body states were the trademarks of their races would have to pay an incredible price for strengthening their body after attaining the Divine Celestial Level 4, Undying state. But, how could a single human possess such a bloody strong physical body state? What are you looking for? Aren't you guys going to strike as well? Sovereign King Jung bellowed. But, just at this moment, a series of tragic wails rang out from the ancient race army above them. The moment Sovereign King Jung raised his head up, his eyes widened as the blood in his body started boiling. Translator's thoughts lamb_lamb_. Okay, suddenly this chapter didn't seem as though anything much really happened somehow. Tisk. But if you guys are confused over that proverb, a skeletal camel looms over a horse, it's a Chinese proverb meant to say that the size of a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse no matter what, implying that even if one may be weaker in their forte, they're still stronger than absolute newbies in it. Cheers. Chapter 650 None, haha. Shall all of you be turned into vengeful spirits in my Yudu hell? Yudu Ghost Emperor's black robes danced in the sky, seemingly able to encompass the entire heavens. As he raised 10 black fingers into the sky, a series of ghastly wails howled out into the entire world. Accompanying those wails were a cluster of mountains with a pitch-black door within them. The pitch-black door slammed open, sending a boundless ghost chi rippling out of it. As though they were grim reapers, they started winding themselves against the ancient race army. Ah, help us, Sovereign King, save me. The series of tragic cries rang out repeatedly. All of those ancient race beings who were coiled around by the ghost chi turned into dried-up corpses as their souls were stolen from them. In fact, even the spirit, essence, and vitality within their bodies were lost out immediately as well. Such vicious methods, Lin Fan gazed over and could not help but have his eyes linger for a moment. Indeed, he was not a powerful being of Divine Celestial Level 10, Eternal God state for no reason. Every single strike was so overbearing. In the blink of an eye, a large bunch of ancient race beings died under that ghost chi just like that. Eternal God Flames P-Show. A hissing sound rang out as a storm of fire rained down from the skies akin to a shower of meteors, that flew over in the direction of the ancient race army. The eyes of the Eon Fire God Emperor were indifferent. That huge red robe he was wearing was burning with eternal flames. With the wave of his hand, the entire sea of flames descended and caged the ancient race beings within. Be it Centurion, Tribunus, or Legatus, all of them had no chance of withstanding this sea of flames. The moment an eternal God state being struck out would be an earth-shattering one. Even if it were someone of a Divine Celestial Level 8, Universal Elixir state, they wouldn't be able to defend against it. The disciples of the Battle Emperor sect sat on the ground, crippled. They were scared silly by now. Even though these 8 old fogies were the slaves of the mother *seeking human king, each and every one of their moves were extremely appalling. Each time they attacked, there would be a huge patch missing from the ancient race army. To the 8 of them, this 10 million strong ancient race army was something they could take down with the back of their hands. There was no need to retaliate at all against them. Looking at how those malevolent and horrid-looking ancient race beings were crying out sorrowfully right now, the disciples of the Battle Emperor sect felt their hearts freezing up. Even though it wasn't happening to them, the wails found their way striking into the core of their hearts as well. They were entirely rattled right now. Too horrifying. The methods of these powerful beings are way too cruel. Against the ancient race beings, there's no such word as cruel. The moment these ancient race beings catch hold of any beings of the thousands of races, they would resort to all sorts of torments to them as well. These guys have no humanity in them. Might be to the mother *seeking human king. Kill off all of these ancient race beings. Looking at the methods of the 8 of them, Grandmaster Yun was clear that these were dark arts that they were using. Just where in the world did Lin Fan recruit these elderly beings? Grandmaster Yun could not figure it out at all. However, he knew that the predicament this time around could be considered as tided through by now. With these 8 powerful old beings around, Sovereign King Qi and the others were of no threat. It was just that if they were to kill off so many ancient race armies, wouldn't that incur the wrath of the heavens will of the ancient saint world? The moment he thought about this, Grandmaster Yun's face turned pale. Lin Fan, watch out for the heavens will of the ancient saint world, Grandmaster Yun yelled out. The origins of the ancient race remained a legend. However, to Grandmaster Yun, he felt that the ancient race beings were born from the heavens will of the ancient saint world. If they were to kill off these 10 million army warriors, something horrifying should probably happen. Mother *seeking human king, you had better stop now. Sovereign King Zheng was enraged right now. He had not expected the outcome to be as such. Just where in the world did these 8 old fogies come from? To think that they would be this strong. Now that the 10 million troops ancient race army was in their hands, there was no room for resistance at all. This was a one-sided massacre. Nope, I can't stop it right now. The moment these slaves of mine strike out, it's as though they're on crack or something, there's no way they can just stop right now. Lin Fan shrugged his shoulders and replied. The Tao of the Paradise was revolving continuously, taking in all the essence, spirit, and vitality of these ancient race beings. Even though the essence, spirit, and vitality given off by every single ancient race being was quite minimal, there were so many ancient race beings altogether. That amounted to quite a bit of it all. All of the souls that were brought by the Yudu Ghost Emperor were cast by Lin Fan into the 18 levels of hell. The cultivation was endless right now, and the powers of the paradise were increasing. You beast, Sovereign King Qi was hopping in rage right now, as he could tolerate this no longer. Howling out in rage, he bolted out at Lin Fan. Green hell ancient clock. Encompass all living beings and steal their souls. Dong. Dong. Suddenly, a weird-sounding ring of a bell rang right into Lin Fan's ears. The moment he heard the sound of this bell, Lin Fan felt his spirit rattle for a moment. It was as though something was going to get hooked away from him by the sound of this clanging bell. Lin Fan activated his paradise immediately to protect himself. The moment these bell sounds entered the paradise, they dissipated away. What's this? Lin Fan looked over at Sovereign King Qi. However, he caught sight of Sovereign King Qi holding on to a green-colored clock. There were all sorts of symbols lining the surface of this ancient clock, causing it to shine with a godly glow. Supreme grade Tao weapon, ancient race holy clock. A single glance of Lin Fan was all that was required for him to see through everything. Mother *seeking human king, you must die here today, Sovereign King Qi blasted out. Flicking his finger, the holy clock in his hands burst forth with a brilliant gleam. This beam of light pierced straight into the void. With that, a thick and dense ancient saint aura burst forth from it. Kill. I knew it. The sovereign kings of the ancient race are rich *CKS. Seems like that's truly the case. Alright, that holy clock? Yours truly wants it now. This was the first time Lin Fan was coming across a treasure that could attack straight into one's heart. At the same time, he was coming up with some plans for it. If he could get that into his hands and cultivate it, he might be able to come up with some sort of an alarming treasure. Lin Fan stretched out his hands, ignoring the attacks of Sovereign King Qi and the others entirely as he reached out straight for that holy clock up in the void. The 5 fingers that were reaching out for the holy clock were thick like mountains. A series of powerful colossal dragons were coiling around it. Each colossal dragon brought with it an endless amount of power. HMPH. You want to steal the holy clock? We'll just have to see if you've got the capabilities then, Sovereign King Chi bellowed out, replying with a fist in retaliation, Heavenly Province. The paradise that was cultivated out by Sovereign King Chi was an entire country of its own. There were countless living beings within them, all seemingly close to the heavens itself. The fist landed squarely, causing the face of Sovereign King Chi to be filled with glee. However, it didn't take him long to realize that the Lin Fan's body was akin to crystallized walls. It started shattering bit by bit, and in its place were a series of tree branches. What's this? The face of Sovereign King Chi changed immediately. However, in the blink of an eye, his entire arm was wrapped around by those dense tree branches. Before he knew it, he was dragged within. Inside the paradise, brothers, come on out. The prey is here. The Thunder Trainer King had been waiting for a long time now. The moment he caught sight of the paradise's crystallized walls flashing brightly, he got exhilarated as he swung out with the long whip in his hands. Insolent, Sovereign King Chi used a single hand to slap away the long whip. However, by the time he reacted, he found himself stuck within a part of the paradise. Oh, benefactor. If you lay down the butcher's knife, you will become a Buddha on the spot. Come, follow your trainer king here into the pure land of ultimate bliss, receive my electroconvulsive therapy and you shall walk towards a brand new life from here on forth. The Thunder Trainer King was filled with a Buddhist glow right now as he commented compassionately. Courting death. The Sovereign King Chi burst out in a holler. To think that this human would dare to bring him into his paradise. This was completely courting death. Highs. The Thunder Trainer King let out a sigh of exasperation. In the blink of an eye, the entire ground trembled violently as the sky jerked into darkness. A series of howls came out. The dragons were growling while the tigers were roaring. The rocks were stretching out their great wings and flying around. All sorts of living beings were encircling the Sovereign King Chi from all directions. 13,000 living beings of the paradise were watching the Sovereign King Chi with covetous eyes. The tree branches of the mythical parasol tree were swooshing around as well as they broke out of the mud below. They coiled themselves around the Sovereign King Chi's body tightly. What in the world is this? Sovereign King Chi was in a huge shock right now. This is the reform of love. The Thunder Trainer King replied indifferently. He then shook his head and waved his hands gently, do it.